welcome. This is a little odd from, excuse me. Quiet, right? Welcome to our work session today on January 6th, 2026. My name is Mayor Paul Benz, and I'll be leading our meeting today. And of course, we have a full council today. Councilwoman Newell, Councilman Harrison, Councilwoman Freeman, Councilwoman Stallings, and Councilwoman, don't tell me.
Should I be offended? No,
you shouldn't. Emily Lockhart. So welcome. Also welcome all staff who's here today. We welcome all of you, and we're glad you're here today. I have asked Rachel Freeman if she would offer an invocation.
Just do it here?
Yeah.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to be here today and to discuss the affairs of the city of Lehi. We're thankful for the people of Lehi and for their faith in us, and we have great faith in them, and we have even greater faith in Thee. We ask Thee please to help us and be with us in the decisions that we're making here and away, that we will be led and guided as to what is best to do. And we're thankful for all the great workers here in Lehi that put forth their best effort to facilitate all of the things here in Lehi City. We ask you to be with them and their families. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll open up. Our first item of business is to select a mayor pro tem. And so council will open that up. I believe probably the easiest way to do this. I'm sure you've all been thinking about this, but we'll open it up for some nominations. So I'll just take some nominations. We can discuss those as we go, and then we'll take a vote where we're at. But I'll open that up to you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Michelle Stallings.
I'll second that.
So we have any talk about that? Those two motions, thoughts?
I support that. I think that she seems to know the code very well, and in the previous council meetings, I've noticed that the other council deferred a lot to her knowledge of the code, and I think that's a good choice.
Okay, so let's take a vote. Heather?
Yes.
James?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations, Councilwoman Stallings. I don't know what you do yet, but I'll tell you as I learn too. Okay, item number 3 on our list is the discussion of the 2026 City Council meeting schedule and agendas. I believe everyone has received a copy of that. We'll open it up for some discussion. I think there's some healthy discussion here to have as we put forth. We won't vote on it today, but we can put some information together so that we can prepare it for next week for City Council meeting. I'll open that up.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I think for this new proposal, it's a little bit different this time. What it does is it opens up several more opportunities, about 9, I think, throughout the year to have work sessions. I think with the new council, we could use several new work sessions throughout the year. But the concept is to have the 2nd and the 4th weeks of each month, Tuesday being our regular city council meeting, and then during the day on Thursdays doing the work sessions with staff.
I like that idea. Sorry, can I speak? Because of OPMA, we, only 2 of us can talk to each other at a time, and I'd love to hear what all the council has to say, especially I just feel like it's important for us to build consensus and to really understand and dig into some of these issues. I loved how watching the previous council work with the Planning Commission, a work session there with the Downtown Revitalization Act, and it just feels like it really increases our productivity and helps us all to be on the same page. So I'd like to have more work sessions as well.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I am in full support of getting together. I also agree. I think that'd be really helpful. My main concern is, as a former planning commissioner, Planning Commission meets on Thursdays, And it's common or often a planning commissioner will come in on a Thursday and ask staff questions. Planning commissioners are limited to who they can talk to. They're only allowed to talk to staff. They're actually not even allowed to talk to each other. So I'm concerned that if we put it on a Thursday, number one, it'll overwhelm the planning department because they'll feel the need to come to our work sessions and talk to us about items. They'll also feel the need to be preparing for planning commission and helping planning commissioners. And then I worry that the planning commissioners won't be able to get their questions addressed. But again, I fully support like the concept of us getting together more often. I just want to throw out that Thursdays are typically reserved for planning commission.
Thank you. Thursday, after reviewing last night, also there's quite a few meetings that I attend on a Thursday evening too, so we'll take that into effect. Councilwoman Stallings, any input on that?
One thing I noticed about the Planning Commission I'm actually kind of envious of is they get their agendas well in advance. So I think if they're, needing to talk to staff, I think there is time. Unless they procrastinate like I do, which happens. And the other thing, I appreciate your point, but a lot of times the work sessions, we've got a lot to discuss, I think, besides just land use decisions. So, and I love the idea of having more work sessions during the day. I think it would be better for staff. One less late evening for them, I guess. So I'm flexible. I'm good with whatever, but I really do like the idea of more work sessions, more input, and more counseling together, which I think is the intent of that.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yes.
From our perspective, we're here either day, so it makes no difference to us. Is there something special about Thursday work sessions as opposed to Tuesday or any other day? Just I don't know.
Help, if you don't mind, Jason, help us understand the difference between work session, which we're having now, pre-council, and council.
Yeah, and maybe Ryan can chime in too if I lead us astray, but generally speaking, we work backwards. So a general meeting, that's when council can take action on items. That's when things are the most polished. They're ready for your approval. There are times when we may bring something that's not quite there, and then we work a little bit of that out. But generally speaking, we like that to be the finished product. Pre-council, that's typically reports or presentations, more informational items that will come to the mayor and council. Work session is really where we get our hands dirty. We have difficult discussions. We look at studies. We ask staff questions, things like that. So it's much more hands-on, if you will, discussions. So am I saying anything wrong?
From the perspective of the Open Meetings Act, there is no difference. It's just the way you want to characterize kind of how each meeting works. So the noticing requirements are the same. We typically we've just said we'll only items for approval are on the regular session, not so much work session and pre-council. So it's just kind of really up to your discretion of what you want the nature of each of those meetings to look like. But as far as the legal requirements, there is no difference.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I would, I'm interested to hear Heather's thoughts as well, and I apologize for my voice. It's left me at a very bad time. But I kind of like the idea of Thursdays just because I understand Tuesdays are going to be busy preparing for votes and decisions that night. Monday and Wednesday, I'm not sure if that would be great to have back-to-back days with meetings. Fridays, I know that much of staff is out on Fridays, and so using Thursday early enough in the day that there's a buffer between work session and planning commission, I think that's probably a wise thing to do, but I'd also like to hear Heather's thoughts.
Yeah, number one is making sure all council members are able to attend, that it works with their schedule, because this is something new, especially during the middle of the day. So that would be critical. I wouldn't see an issue with, I know we talked about earlier about having work sessions on Tuesday, starting earlier, having everybody come prepared to have seen the items through Planning Commission, leading up to that and be able to talk about it for the meeting within 2 weeks. Work session's never going to be a replacement for the amount of work that needs to be done on an item. There are staff members, applicants, council members in other cities, members of the public who you're all going to have to discuss items with. So to think that we're able to, do that just with the one work session, there's still a lot of work that needs to go into each of these items. So I do like the idea of being able to have more work sessions, especially since this will be newer, to be able to dig in. But the most important thing to me is that it fits with everybody's schedule, and that I really wouldn't like to just throw extra meetings at staff if it makes more sense to consolidate them. I also know we all have a lot of meetings as we start joining and being liaisons to other organizations, especially you, Mayor, that, there's going to be a lot of meetings that you're going to be required to be at too. So the more we can consolidate that, I think, everybody knows that Tuesdays are the meetings that everybody in the city are meeting on. American Fork does every Tuesday. Other cities are not meeting on Thursdays. So it may kind of hinder the ability to have other meetings on those days, which is typically a popular day to have meetings with these other groups too. But.
Okay.
Can I say something? One hesitation I have of having them on Tuesdays before the regular session is there's decision fatigue, which is we all know this is a human condition. And if we're putting a lot of effort and time into these big issues in the work sessions, then we come to vote. And then what I've noticed is these meetings, city council meetings, are going later. The issues are getting bigger. We're voting, we're making decisions. And I want us to be fresh. I want us to be able to focus fully on the ones that we're voting on. The work sessions, I want us to be able to study and dig in deep to those also. And I'd love us to not conflict. And I don't know, I think I remember you told me Tuesdays, those days are gone. You're focusing on things getting ready for city council, right, Heather? And then I just think, anyways, that's my.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking whether it's Tuesday or Thursday, we're still 2 weeks out on an item. I'm seeing a work session as more as a presentation of what's coming. I'm probably not coming to a work session having dug in. I'm probably coming at that point, unless we're doing the Thursday before the Tuesday meeting, if it was the first and third weeks. I don't know, because to me it would almost be okay, now I know what this is. Now I got to go do the rest of the work to understand the application. It would almost be I'm wanting to hear a presentation. I want to make sure that I've seen Planning Commission on that item beforehand too. I want to make sure we don't have a work session before it goes to Planning Commission. So if we get too far ahead of things, that's also a concern too.
Mayor, may I?
Yeah.
I agree with Rachel. I would not want to have a big long meeting with a work session and then regular session. That's too much. And I see a work session. I would like to see a new direction with the work session. I would like to see it more proactive discussion around things where the council contributes as much as the staff giving a presentation. I don't see this as something prepping us for something that's going to come for us on a regular agenda. I think this is a deep dive into budget issues or some of our master plans or that sort of thing. So I would much prefer having a separate day dedicated. I think if we have it early enough in the day, that'll free up our evenings for other meetings that we may need to attend. And who knows, maybe other city councils from other cities might want to come in, listen in. So I support having a separate day and earlier in the day if as long as people are able, the council members are able to attend that.
Mr. Mayor, may I have a question as far as your approach to public comment? Mayors, have the discretion to do it differently. At this time, the public comment really happens at the Planning Commission level, which is why I would like to have that information from the public as we start getting into these issues. Are you planning on having public comment during our city council meetings?
So currently, I'm planning on having 20 minutes of open comment at the start of a city council meeting. Well, they'll have 20 minutes, 3 minutes. They can come share whatever's on that or what's on
Okay, and
burning heart that night.
and not that you have to decide today, but like on an item level basis, is that something you would open up?
We'll look at those as they
As they
come
come.
about.
Okay, because that is important to me. In order to make these decisions, we really need to have that public engagement. And on that point, Thursday at 1:00, a lot of our residents work full-time jobs that are during the 8 to 5 hours. It concerns me that we'd be holding very important meetings, as Councilmember Stalling mentioned, where we'd be talking about budget issues, general plan, diving into the meat and nitty-gritty of these topics. And our residents who deeply want to be involved in that would be working their full-time jobs at that time. Just a point of thought, not that everyone works an 8 to 5, but a lot of people do. And it's just something to consider.
No, that's a thought, and I think you're right there. But I also would tell you that a work session normally does not have public comment. So tonight's a work session. We won't have public comment tonight, and it is recorded. It is an opportunity where they can go and see that. It is public. It is listed. They would be able to go find that information. So there's that side of it too. Jason, did you have a thought?
No, I mean, like I said, staff, we're here anyway. I was just thinking Wednesdays would probably be a not good day because we have DRCs, so planning staff would be absolutely inundated on Wednesdays. Right. I know we're not contemplating that. Another thought I had was, well, what if every Tuesday was a meeting, so that we had a meeting every Tuesday night, just a different form of a meeting?
Right.
Or I don't know. I'm just, again, I'm going to be here anyway, so I don't care. But it's.
So here's what I'll do. I'll take that all under advisement. We'll look at it. I did have a meeting with staff this morning. We had a brief discussion about making sure we all have information a week ahead. They're going to do their best in the coming weeks. It's not going to be next week. It'll take us a couple of weeks to get it rolling and making sure that you have the information so that you have contact with who you need to have contact to make the best decisions that you can. So we met this morning on that. I will take that with advisement. We'll put that together and send it out.
Mayor Vince, can
Yes.
I make another comment too? It's in a different direction. I'm curious about the change to the all-day budget discussion being moved up. I don't know why that was, because we've had that on the schedule for several months. But whatever the reason, I'm concerned about, one, if we have people who have been scheduled to come that day and rescheduling them, but also because of the amount of preparation each of the departments have to go into that, I would prefer that it was moved further into February if necessary to make sure that everybody has the full amount of time they need, rather than move that up to them at this later date.
So are you talking about the budget retreat?
Yeah, on the 29th.
So we have a council member who has a family, a great family thing that day, and they
Okay.
should be at that. So there will be. I will actually meet with Jason in the next day or two, and
Okay.
Cam, and we'll put together to
Yeah,
see if
I
we can
would
stretch
think-
that day or.
I would suggest
put it
moving it
together.
to the 5th then, rather than to move up the schedule on staff.
We'll look at that. We are aware of that,
Okay.
and we'll give you more information as that comes. But there is a member of the council who won't be able to be with us all that day. So
Okay. No, and I
we'll
think
look at
that's
that.
great that we're making sure everybody can be there.
Yeah, we want to make sure we're at 100%. So thank you for bringing that up. I'll talk to Jason and Cam about that. We'll get it planned
Okay.
accordingly. Any other comments on the council meeting schedules?
Just one comment, Mayor, on the reasoning for the second and fourth weeks as opposed to every week. I think it's helpful to have weeks where we can do assignment tasks, meet with staff, and to have 2 weeks where we're free without any upcoming meetings or agenda items. I think that's helpful. Just personally, I think that would be nice to stack them on the second and fourth weeks, and I think maybe staff would appreciate that as well. But just input on that.
No,
I'm
good.
all about less meetings, so I agree there. I'm just trying to think holistically
Yeah.
how we can solve this. So.
No, I think we're on the same page there. Putting it together, we'll put it together and then send it out to you. Any last comments there? Great. Okay, we'll have a presentation and review of rules and order and procedures. Lehi Municipal Code 1-6-3-1. Tisha, you are up. is. You know, I always wondered how the council saw what was behind them. Now I know.
You know our secret.
There you go. You're probably not going to be able to read what I put on the PowerPoint anyway, because it's going to be really small, but it's just mostly to kind of help me through the talking points. Rules of order and procedure. We'll kind of just start with the purpose of this. It's to expedite and facilitate the city council business in an orderly fashion. And so pretty much everything that I'm taking in this presentation comes straight from city code. And I encourage you to read that section. Let's see, I had it. It's Lehi City Code 1-6-1-3 or 3-1. So in that code, it says that the purpose is to expedite and facilitate city council business in an orderly fashion. Failure to observe the rules will not invalidate any action taken by the city council. So kind of breaking a rule, so to speak, doesn't invalidate any of your decisions. And then these rules are to be reviewed every 2 years, and kind of at that time that we review them, which is now, you can also feel free to make suggestions or changes or have discussions if you want to go a different direction. Okay, so Robert's Rules of Order, I gave each of you a book. I wasn't sure if Michelle and Heather you might already have copies. You do? You can just leave that with me, and we can save it for somebody else that wants to read. Maybe if another staff member wants to read it, they can. So we say that we loosely follow these rules. These are kind of the most common things that we stick to or try to stick to in Robert's Rules, but if you want to kind of experiment and look at other things with the rules, feel free to do so and talk to the mayor about those things. But this is kind of generally the things that we stick to and follow. So when there's an item up for a vote, after it's been discussed, the mayor calls for a motion or asks for a motion, and then a council member makes the motion, there's a second, and then the mayor opens it up for a discussion on that motion. And then this is also the opportunity when amendments can be made, and any amendment that is made to a motion also requires a second. Then a roll call vote is taken. Now, city code specifies that for certain things, it's a requirement that a roll call vote is taken. For record keeping, it's easier, Mayor, for my end, if you just do a roll call vote on every item, because it is a requirement that I have to note in the minutes how each council member voted on that item. So because of that, it's just easier if you would do all votes by roll call. And then you announce the result. Okay, postponing or tabling a motion. If you are if you want to continue an item to a next meeting, if you don't have enough information, you need more information, it's not ready, rather than tabling a motion, it's preferable to postpone it if you intend on seeing the item again. So if you could make a motion that says you want to postpone this item until a specific council meeting, or you want to postpone this item until you have this certain amount of information, that's usually the best way to do that. Then we're not tabling items, because once you table an item, it's like on the table indefinitely until you bring it back. And some items might never even come back, and then they're just kind of left on the table. And then you don't have to go through the motions of untabling an item as well. So it's just preferably just use postpone rather than table. Other things that you can do is you can limit debate before a motion is made. So you could say that so the council could make a motion at any time to limit debate on an item. As long as it's probably not less than 3 minutes, which is specified in our code. You can also move at a time to close the debate. If everyone on the council has spoken already about the item and you're just kind of ready to move to a motion, a council member can also move to end the debate. So just some options that you're aware of. Previous question, this is also used at the end of a debate if council's ready to kind of move on and just make a motion on the item or a vote, then they can say, I move the previous question. And then if you have any questions, kind of as we're going through these points, just go ahead and just interrupt me to ask the questions. Okay, code of conduct. I realized I wasn't speaking into this. Could you hear me okay? Yeah. All right. So for code of conduct, so the mayor is the chairperson, and he will only vote in the case of a tie. So no one member of the council can make decisions for the group. Members shouldn't give the perception that they represent the full body of the council without kind of the council's approval or vote. Also in the code, let's see, it specifies council members should not exercise individual authority over the city, its employees, and its enterprises. That's pretty self-explanatory. Council members must represent the interests of all Lehi citizens and consider the interests of Lehi citizens as a whole and vote accordingly. So that's the specific language in the code. So your job is to consider how your decision affects the whole of the city rather than just individual groups, individuals or neighborhoods. So you must consider like the negative and positive consequences to the city as a whole and vote accordingly. Adherence to procedures. The mayor is primarily responsible to ensure that council staff and members of the public are following these procedures. And the council can assist the mayor in preserving order and making sure that these procedures are being followed. The council members should not delay or interrupt the proceedings. All persons addressing the city council, including the administrator, staff, and members of the public, shall be recognized by the chair. So anytime other members of the public want to speak, or staff or other council members, it's best to just first ask the mayor to be recognized, or just notify the mayor that you'd like to speak, and then he can choose whether or not you're allowed to speak. And then all remarks should be limited to the matter that's being discussed. Council desiring to speak shall address the chair. We just talked about that, so just addressing the chair or the mayor before you speak. Council members, once recognized, should not be interrupted while speaking unless there's a order by the chair or a point of order is raised. Questions and debates shall be limited to just the issue that's before you. Avoid discussion of personalities, personal attacks, verbal abuse, things like that should be avoided. It's also not appropriate for anyone to berate the mayor, council, or staff in a public meeting. And then administrative staff is held to the same standards as the mayor and council. Now, code of conduct for visitors and citizens. So citizens should refrain from private conversations while in the chambers and while the council meeting's in session. They observe the same rules of decorum. The mayor can actually remove any person that he feels is being boisterous, whatever that means. The mayor can remove that person, and for other reasons too, if he feels like they're being disruptive in the council meeting. And if you feel like the mayor's not removing somebody that should be removed, you can also make a motion to remove an individual if you feel like the mayor's not acting on it. But from what I know of Mayor Benz, he doesn't have a problem removing people from meetings because that's what he does as a referee, right? You remove people from games.
I've only ever kicked out one, so you know.
Only one, okay. Perfect. It wasn't someone I'm related to, was it?
It's not.
Okay, perfect. And then just unauthorized remarks from the audience, like yells and clapping, shall not be permitted. Banners and signs are not allowed unless it's like an exhibit or a display that's connected to something being discussed. And then disruption of a council meeting can actually be prosecuted as a Class B misdemeanor. Council members. So council members, you may dissent any action taken by the city council, so you can obviously express that you dissent and your reason for dissenting, and you can also request that that reason be put directly into the minutes. Excusal from attendance. If council, if you are not going to be here, please let the chair know, let Mayor Benz know if you're not going to be here. And also, if you could let myself and Jason know as well, then we can kind of make preparations or be prepared for that. Chair duties. Okay, so the mayor presides. In the mayor's absence, will be the mayor pro tem. So the chair of the meeting will be the mayor pro tem in the mayor's absence. And if both happen to be absent for one meeting, then council, you will elect a chair just for that meeting. So a chair can also ask the police officer that's here. We have a police officer that attends all of our meetings, so you can also ask the police officer to remove someone if you feel that's warranted.
Hey, Tisha?
Yeah.
Just one question back to the dissent. Is that immediately following a no vote, or?
You know, it just says dissent. It doesn't say that it's directly following a vote. I'm sure that it's implied that that is directly following a vote, but I would also expect that anytime the council has a dissenting opinion, that that can be expressed and recorded in the minutes if they choose.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Also, the mayor, you can ask for a recess too when it's appropriate. When you feel like it's an appropriate time during the meeting, you can have a recess. And council, if you need a recess, just ask the mayor for one. And then also the chair will decide who and when, the chair will determine when the public's allowed to speak. Okay, agendas. We kind of talked a little bit about agendas. Those are, so I prepare the agendas under the direction of the mayor and the city administrator. And in the event that a council member wants to add an agenda item, a council member must obtain consent from the mayor or one additional council member. So this was included in the code as a way for the council to add items if the mayor refuses. So if the mayor and council aren't really getting along and the mayor's refusing to put items on the agenda that you want, then that's kind of the purpose of this. Best practices, though, for this would be if you have an item that you want on the agenda, the best way probably to go about it is to talk to the mayor and or Jason about that and kind of discuss it with them. They might have additional information or additional viewpoints, things like that. They may have information like it may be necessary to add that to a different agenda item, things like that. So that's kind of my suggestion for best practices with that. Also, city council members desiring to introduce items that may require substantial staff time must first place the item on a pre-council meeting agenda. And then after being presented, a majority vote of the council is required to move that agenda item forward. And so the purpose of this was to protect city resources, staff time. So if you have, let's say like if you have one or two council members that, for example, thinks that maybe one or two council members thinks that we should combine fire and EMS with Saratoga Springs, combine those two departments. Is he here? Example only. However, so if you have one or two people or one or two council members suggesting that, however, if the majority of the council is mostly against even entertaining that and doesn't want to waste city resources on that, then that can be used to kind of protect those resources. So basically, it's kind of to prevent individual council members from going in a direction that's very different from the majority of the council.
Tisha, sorry.
Yes.
It says a majority vote. Do you need a formal vote or just kind of a straw poll kind of thing?
Let's see, a majority vote of the council. So if it's officially being presented in a work session meeting and the mayor thinks that and if the mayor kind of thinks like that it's likely that the other council members don't want to move forward with this item, then he can ask, then you can take a vote there to move forward with it. So the item would first have to be on like a work session agenda. Does that make sense?
Yeah, does that change noticing requirements if there's votes involved, or?
Typically,
It
we've kind of done like
can.
a head nod. We haven't really
we
done an
can.
official vote.
Yeah, I think, Ryan, do you have a preference? It probably doesn't really matter if it's a vote or a head nod type of thing, because you're not taking necessarily official
Yeah.
city action. Yeah.
Before we devote
Move
a lot of staff time to something.
I like the idea of a formal vote because then it's clear, right? And you can go back in the minutes and see what the vote actually was, but I'm just wondering if it changes noticing at all.
I agree with that.
If we know ahead of time that we need to have a vote on it, then we can certainly notice it that way. But again, where it's not official action, you can do a head nod or a vote, and maybe probably whatever Mayor Benz prefers to do with that.
And he could just ask individually for, against, kind of,
Yes,
informal.
yeah, he can. Yep.
Kind of a vote.
Okay. Okay, agendas can be amended. So the noticing requirement, and Ryan will actually go into this at the next city council meeting. He'll have the Open Public Meetings Act training at our next city council meeting. But the deadline for posting agendas is 24 hours notice, and so that also applies to amending the agendas. So amendments can be made up to 24 hours before the meeting. And then we've kind of had discussions about posting those agendas a week before the meeting, and so staff is kind of going to start working towards that direction.
Hey, Tisha,
Yeah.
I've noticed in the past there's been items that have been removed last minute,
Yeah.
like during the meeting. Can you explain the difference?
Just for individual items.
Yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah. So it's if you're going to add something to the meeting. So like the intent behind this is the council shouldn't be discussing something that wasn't noticed where the notice wasn't, or where the public wasn't given sufficient notice, right? But if you're pulling it from the agenda, then you're not discussing it, right? So, yeah, do you have anything?
Yeah, in the first instance, it's a legal requirement. In the second instance, it's more of a matter of inconvenience for those that have come to speak on that item, but it's not a legal requirement that you amend the agenda to remove items, just because, again, in the first instance, at least the public knows that it's going to be discussed. And the second item, you've inconvenienced people by taking it off, but it's not a legal notice requirement.
And usually what best practice, what we've tried to do, if we anticipate that there's going to be public showing up for this item, we'll just note, we'll update the agenda on the website and I'll usually like highlight it or something that says like this item's been pulled from the meeting. If it's something that we don't anticipate if we don't anticipate any public comment on it, we may not do that. We may just pull it before the meeting. And it's probably best too, Mayor, if we have items like that, to just announce that at the beginning of the meeting, just to kind of make everybody aware that you're, not going to be discussing that. And we can also let the council know as well. Like as soon as we know that an item's being pulled, we can notify the council. Any other questions about that?
Tisha, for the agendas, as a council member, sometimes we're noticed about this is going to be discussed, but we don't get the information until sometimes the day of, right? And I guess this is more of a request, though, because that fulfills the legal requirements, right? Just noticing it, but it's especially the minutes. I am a procrastinator, so I don't have time the day of to read the minutes all the time before the meeting. So, yeah, I guess the sooner we get those things, it just helps.
I agree.
And I'd rather have time to read it and vote to approve it. It'll pull it, until we have enough time to read it. Then does that make sense?
I know. I would just add to that, if there is especially a major decision that's coming down, and there's documents added, and not enough time for the full council to review it and be prepared for the meeting, I think it would be a good practice to push that agenda item to a later date, if it makes sense, just because sometimes there's dozens or hundreds of pages to read.
Yeah, and I always take that direction from the mayor. So if the mayor feels comfortable moving forward with an item, if he feels like he has enough votes and wants to move forward with it, that's at his discretion to do so if he chooses. But yeah, certainly I think it is best practice for sure to make sure everybody has all the information before a vote is taken.
So we can complain to him if
Yes,
we don't.
you can. Absolutely.
I do.
Okay. Oh, and then kind of like what we discussed earlier, so pre-council or work sessions can be held for presentations or, discussions ahead of a meeting. And then I think kind of what we said earlier, final action generally is not taken in a work session meeting or pre-council unless it's necessary to advance the work of the city. So the only time that we've had items on a work session that are on there for approval, it's because the mayor felt like it was necessary to advance the work of the city. But otherwise, generally, we don't follow that practice. And then, with the difference between like work sessions and pre-councils, like kind of like Ryan said, it's all kind of the same. It's just how you want the meeting to run. Okay, citizen speaker rules. So only one person can approach the mic